I'm Mark James. I'm the director and producer of a film called Studio17, The Lost Reggae Tapes. Well, it didn't really come about through inspiration as such. It happened, I had actually been in Jamaica a couple of years earlier. The film, we actually began in 2014, so quite a long time ago. And I'd been in Jamaica prior to that doing a different film, completely different film. And I came back to London and I had a birthday party and I bumped into, at the party, a friend of a friend. She said she was a reggae journalist and I thought that was, a very exotic sounding sort of job. She had just been writing about this story about these reggae tapes that had been sort of abandoned and then rediscovered, and she'd been in a studio in New York where they'd been transferring from tape to digital, but behind that was a really incredible story. So anyway, she told me all about the story and I just thought everything about it sounded really intriguing. It had lots of layers to it. It wasn't just a history, it was a sort of story about music, it was a story about a family. There were various sort of tragedies. Just the tapes had survived this sort of incredible ordeal of being abandoned for sort of 20 years in a sort of attic room in Kingston, Jamaica, that had been looted, and they'd had hurricanes and all sorts of things. So it was an incredible story that all these things had survived. And also the family, were now set up as a big major reggae label. So there were sort of all sorts of aspects to the whole thing that intrigued me. Well, it was wonderful. I mean, hearing the tapes for the first time is really magical. I mean, in the film, we have sections where you hear some of the tapes being played, and what's really wonderful is if you're sitting in the studio and hearing the tapes play, there's all this studio chatter going on, and you're in a studio where you can sort of imagine these legendary artists, many of which no longer alive, but you can sort of imagine them in the audio room, sort of chatting to each other and warming up and playing their instruments, even though they're not there. So it's quite sort of ghostly and sort of wonderful and magical. To be honest, yeah, my background is not in reggae music. I mean, I've made lots of films about all sorts of other subjects, mainly art, music, dance, architecture, all sorts of things. So I wasn't an expert on reggae music, but I really liked the story and I was intrigued by the story and wanted to find out more about it. And as I delved deeper, I did come to love early reggae music. Reshma, as I say, Reshma B, the journalist who first came across the story, we'd already done quite a lot of filming by then, and we were keen to get hold of him. And we found out that he was in England playing at a concert. He said that if we arrived at where he was staying, the accommodation, we could do the interview there after his gig. So we drove down there quite late at night. And he was very funny guy, very entertaining. Hard to really make out exactly what he's saying. He talks in a sort of riddles, but he was a great character, and you see him in the film, and yeah, very sad he passed away. I mean, he didn't have any illnesses or anything wrong with him, and then he just died, and very sad. I don't think anybody thought he was just going to die.